Well, hi, I haven't done one of these for a while, and I thought that I would today because I really can't be faffed with trying to type, or to use my voice to type recognition thing, because that says writes some really peculiar things. However, I made a realisation once again about abuse and its effects upon us, and it's never ending. It's not always negative. One of the real benefits to me, and when I say benefit, I mean it works in my favour now, but that doesn't mean that it was a good idea that I got abused so that I could learn this. But I'm what they call hypervigilant. And all that means is that I'm aware of what's going on around me all the time. I don't sit in restaurants with my back to the door or to the room. I have to sit facing the room so I can see everybody and I can see the door and I can see my way out, and all that sort of thing. I'm a good driver because I'm constantly watching for what everybody else is doing. And until my illness really took hold, and the drugs of course affect me, I think I would have been very observant. Well, I know I was very observant. I knew all sorts of things that other people didn't. I noticed things that other people didn't. Anyhow, that's not what this talk is going to be about. This is to do with the fact that I'm disabled. And why do I have such difficulty with it? And why do I constantly doubt myself and worry? I even said to my doctor, I said, do you think I could be faking this? And fortunately my doctor's lovely, and she just looked at me and she said no, very emphatically. And considering she prescribes me 120 milligrams of morphine a day, as well as other drugs, I suppose she means it. And the hospital told me the same thing, that there's no way that you could fake the problems that you have, and particularly with one of the tests I had at the hospital, where what I taught, they did things to me, and what I responded with was exactly what somebody with my problems would respond with, and I couldn't have known that. So I was very pleased about that. And you're probably sitting there thinking, well, if you're disabled, surely you fucking know that you are. And actually it's not quite that simple when you have been the victim of abuse and you weren't believed, because that's what this boils down to. You see, I came so close to losing my life, just that close. I was locked up in an old Victorian-style mental hospitals. This is what they were like in the 70s, and quite literally I was in a locked ward. I was doped up to the eyeballs, and for recreation I used to pack little shampoo bottles into little packs. Fuck knows who they were for. They certainly weren't for us patients, and we were treated more like inmates of a prison than ill people. And the bit inside me that has always fought almost gave up then. I very nearly did. I sort of thought, that I could just stay in this drug stupor and not have to worry about it, and I can believe that I'm ill, and that yes, my parents do love me, and that everything I remember never happened. He never knocked me out, he never used to hit me, she never used to tell me how bad I was, and that I'd be sent to a children's home, and the teacher who was a child pornographer never happened. I never witnessed my best friend be murdered. I almost gave in. But as I said, that light inside me never went out, and I couldn't put it out, and I can assure you I wanted to put it out. Anyway, I have to say that a lot of what I've just said I wasn't aware of at the time. I remember that there was a person there who had been brain damaged in the ward I was in, and they'd lost their memory. And I thought, oh, how wonderful. Because I didn't know what it entailed, really. I guess I wanted selective memory loss. But it would have wiped out most of my childhood. So anyhow, as I got older, and I did manage to get myself out of the situation I was in, and I can assure you that not all psychiatrists are loving and kind. A lot of them are nasty bastards who judge and lie about you. I had one send a letter to my GP who was lovely, this really nice, kind man, and he was furious, and he showed me the letter because he knew it was a pack of lies what this man had said. And it was. I was horrified at what I was reading. And I just thought, you know, this was a homophobe who'd written this. And of course that was the other problem about the mental hospital business. You know, they were far too interested in the fact that I was gay. And some of them thought that my problem was I wouldn't accept it. And others thought the problem was that I was gay and they needed to cure me of being gay, and then I'd be okay. None of them thought abuse was important or even listened to me, basically, when I tried to talk about it, because of course it was only attempted to talk about. I didn't come right out with it, because there was a lot of stuff I didn't realise was abuse. I well remember as a teenager, 14 or something, no, a bit older than that, must have been 16. But anyway, we were talking about virginity and whether anybody around here had lost theirs, and if so, how old were they? And I said, oh, I was about 5. And I meant it totally seriously. And, well, people just laughed, said, oh, don't be silly, Colin, we're having a serious conversation here. And I thought, but I just told the truth, having absolutely no idea about what I'd just said, really. So, but I came across so many people that just didn't believe me. Now, one reason was that because I was so detached from it all, I was able to recall memories of really quite horrible things without showing any emotion at all. And I can do that now as I'm talking to you. And why shouldn't I? You're not going to see the pain that it causes me, or did cause me. Why should I show you that? I don't have to be that vulnerable. And I just don't understand these people. You know, what did they want me to do? To be, you know, something like, what is it, the wailing and gnashing of teeth, as the Bible said. Why would I want to do all that? Because then they certainly wouldn't want to listen. I know exactly what happens when you let rip with your emotions. You get an injection up your arse and it thrown in a single room, which in fact is basically a cell. So, anyhow. So, of course, when I started to experience odd symptoms in my body back in the 80s, I kept it to myself. I didn't bother going to the doctor. And, I mean, I thought about it, and I had a severe liver problem because of medication, Largactil, the liquid cosh, And I did broach it with my liver doctor because he was a really nice man. And he said to me, "Oh, that's nothing to do with your liver." And that's all he said. He didn't say, "You should talk to your GP about that." He just said, "That's nothing to do with your liver." And what I heard was, "That's nothing to do with your liver, therefore you're imagining it." He wasn't to know that, but that's what I heard. So I didn't say anything. And I gradually became worse and worse, and I had long periods of just such severe pain, and I didn't even take paracetamol. I can't believe that I didn't take paracetamol, but I didn't. And then one day at a party, if you can call it that, yes, it was a party, I suppose. It was a gathering of people, but it wasn't a teenage bopping party. It was a bit more upper class than that. It was a posh party where people stood around and talked and ate canapes and drank posh drinks. Anyway, it was the daughter of the hostess gave me a joint. Oh dear, I loved it, absolutely loved it, because for the first time I felt like in my lifetime, but for the first time certainly in many years, I just didn't hurt. I felt really good, I felt relaxed. And that's all I thought my problem was. I couldn't relax. So it wasn't too long before I was a very regular smoker. In one sense that was good, because if I'd had a joint I didn't want ordinary cigarettes, and so consequently the amount of cigarettes I smoked drastically dropped. And anyway, to cut a long story short, still not going anywhere near a doctor. Still during the time with the joints I would have episodes of severe pain, and a lot of my strange symptoms just didn't go away, but I was able to relax, and I wasn't in so much pain, and I could move, and I didn't feel like I was moving through treacle, and I didn't feel like I was moving with broken bones, particularly in my feet. And anyway, so that's what it was like for quite a long period of time. And then I tried to stop smoking. The reason being is I didn't like what it was doing to me mentally. I also didn't like the fact that actually it stopped making me feel nice. It didn't stop physically working, but it did stop mentally working. And I also felt very guilty. I felt that I was addicted to this thing and that I really needed to stop. And I also thought that that was my problem, that I was an addict. I forgot about the pain and all that. No, my problem was an addict. Because I was desperately looking for a way of curing myself. So if I said I was an addict, I could cure myself, couldn't I? I could stop using this. Well, every time I tried, I felt absolutely terrible. I mean, really terrible. The pains came back, the sweating came back, the lack of balance, the coordination went. It all just came back. But I didn't know that. To me it felt like withdrawal, and that's what I thought it was. And people kept telling me, because I went to a self-help group to try and come off it, and people kept saying to me, but there isn't any withdrawal from marijuana. You shouldn't be like this. And some of them had no time for me, because they, again, thought I was making it all up. Then somebody said to me one day that they thought I ought to see a doctor. And when I questioned them as to why, they said, because you shouldn't be the way you are. And I can see that it's real. That I can just see in your face. He said, you're grey and you're clearly in pain. It said, and this is not marijuana withdrawal. Has it occurred to you that you have a disease? And I ignored him. Anyway, when I moved up here, by that time I'd stopped smoking, and I patiently waited for the withdrawal to go. I was told to give it 3 months before I would start to feel better. Well, I never felt better, but I also had no desire to smoke a joint either, because I knew there was no point. I'd reached the end of the road with that. So I moved up here, and the doctor that I first saw, I had no intention of registering with the doctor, but I had to because I got seriously sick. Terribly sick. I mean, I was vomiting all day long for about 10 days, despite injections to stop it. So I saw her as an emergency. Well, I saw him first and then her. And she told me that she knew from the first time she saw me, despite the fact that I was being sick, that I didn't move right. And she sort of had a fair idea of what was wrong with me. And, well, we all thought it was multiple sclerosis. But the multiple sclerosis specialist thinks not, although he can't say with 100% certainty it isn't. I do have a neurological problem, but I also have a crumbling spine, and I also have heart disease. So anyway, my new doctor sorted all this out for me. And then I have good days, and this is just so like the abuse. Oh, have I over-exaggerated it? You know, is it really this bad? And I'd just not really made the connection before that it's exactly the same. I've allowed other people's disbelief and doubt to infest my own thinking and my own knowledge. Yesterday I wrote simply about what I couldn't do, or how I live, basically. It wasn't about what I couldn't do, it was what my life involves. And it just became so apparent to me that I don't live normally. A normal person, somebody who does not have the physical problems that I have, just would not do what I do. They would not go to the swimming pool in their pyjamas. They wouldn't put a coat over their pyjamas to go to the supermarket. All those things. So despite the fact that my life has altered drastically because of my physical problems, here I am still wondering, am I disabled? You know, is all this real? And yet, the week before last, the pain was just atrocious. And I had to get outside help. John wasn't here. And I had to get somebody to get me a prescription so that I could take a large dose of muscle relaxants, which did help sort of dull the pain, but more likely it just helped me sleep and sleep it away. And there's absolutely nothing you can do. You just have to wait for this particular episode to be over. So anyway, the whole point to this is how, yet again, I find that the difficulty I'm having is all tied up with the abuse, but in this case in particular it's about not being believed and allowing that doubt to infest you. I say infest you because it's something horrible. It's, you know, to have such self-doubt is extremely unpleasant, and I know that there are people who watch my videos and who read what I write, and I'm fully aware that, you know, some people get something from what I do. So I hope that this has perhaps helped you understand how there are areas of, well, all areas of life are affected. There just is not one area of, for somebody who's been physically and sexually and mentally abused when they were children, there is not one area of their life ever that is not informed by that. I mean, in my particular case, my sanity was always questioned, because something would happen to me and I would be told it hadn't happened within hours or the next day. That never happened. Where'd you get that bruise? Well, you hit me in the face. No, I didn't. And it was quite deliberate. And it's the one thing that can really get me riled now, if I have a misunderstanding with somebody and I remember something in a different way to them. And that's very dangerous for me, because it can feel like I'm in that whirlpool again. But in the end, we only have our own thoughts and our own feelings, and we have to trust them. I think it's probably time that I stopped talking, because this has turned out rather a long video, I think. And, well, hopefully it's shown you something. It certainly has myself. I'm not quite sure where this is going to lead, but perhaps I can be more lenient with myself and treat myself accordingly, and, you know, take care of myself instead of constantly pushing against my disease and forcing myself to do this and forcing myself to do that until I'm in utter agony, or I'm just so tired, or that, you know, mentally I just disappear. Anyway, that's it today. Thank you for listening if you got this far. Bye.